as we've talked about this week with Bible banning, you may think that was over the 90s, the early 2000s, maybe even the late 80s. But no, the ACLJ, it's kind of existed because of this. It continues to happen. Businesses, schools, hospitals now, and that's here. The ACLJ is representing an employee at a major hospital who was told that they cannot have a Bible study during their break time. So this was, again, not during their time, work hours, but this is break time. And they brought our client just said during a daily meeting with staff, they expressed interest in having a Bible study with coworkers on their own time during their lunch break, so not on the clock. And their client's boss, who was not even in the meeting and was out of the office on a paid time off, texted the client during the meeting and asked for a phone call. And during this call, our client was informed she had offended others in the meeting by bringing up the Bible study. So she gets yelled at by just bringing up the idea of having generically a Bible study if there was any interest. I said if there's interest in it. And then her boss also notified the client that Bible studies on the hospital's premises were prohibited and that she would get back to our client with the specifics. So then she went to HR. HR came back and said that she could have the Bible study on her own time outside of business hours. But then a few days later, the corporate attorneys, which is weird because you would think HR handled it correctly when they actually looked at the rules and said, wait, on their own time, they could have whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they're not offending people by asking a question like that. And the corporate attorneys came back and stated that Bible studies between coworkers are prohibited anywhere on campus at any time. Meanwhile, other employees are free to carry on private conversations unrelated to business activities in the hospital's cafeteria, various break rooms around the campus. They can have any kind of meetings they want so long as the Bible isn't being discussed and faith isn't being discussed. So the ACLJ has found this, was contacted, aclj.org/help. That's all you've got to do if you are in a situation like this. We fired off a demand letter explaining that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 protects against the various censorship that has occurred here, and that Title VII clearly establishes it's illegal for an employer to discriminate against employees who are, just because of their religion.
Well,
but we are now waiting to see if the hospital will stop the discrimination. If not, what's the next step? The next step, lawsuit.
Right, take them to court.
This is the great thing about the ACLJ. We start off the demand letter. We give them the info. We say, here's your one chance to not have to go against, not lose in court. Cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Hospital.
And a lot of times that works, by the way.
More and more because the ACLJ has been around for decades now.
You're able to say, here's the law,
they
don't
look at
mess
us
with
up
us.
and they go, okay, these guys are going to beat us in court easily on this. It doesn't matter if you're a liberal judge or a conservative judge.
By the way, because of you guys who support, by the way.
Yeah.
Because you're able to get some of the best in the best of the best to be their lawyers. And
they literally will look us up and go, oh no. If they take us to court, and again, it does not matter if they're in a liberal jurisdiction, a conservative. When it's this broad attack on religion, you win. It doesn't matter what judge. And so they've got their time to respond. If they don't immediately cease discriminating against our client's Christian faith, we will take that further legal action. And as Logan said, the reason why we can write that letter, and hopefully that handles it, and they're able to get the Bible study going, and we don't have to sue a hospital. But if we do, we have the resources necessary to fight them as long as we have to. They can hire the biggest firm they want. If they think that's smart, go ahead, because at the end of the day, we are confident we will win for this client. And the hospital hopefully will realize if they look at our website, go through those cases, that we are going to win for our client. Look at the Supreme Court cases. We're going to win for that client. But we can do this, and we can also pledge to be there for that client as long as it takes, Logan, because of the support we receive financially from our ACLJ donors.
Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't do it without people's support. And it does sound like a case that we would have had like in the 80s. You would not have known that this is still happening. But this is happening every day. And I would say it's happening every day so much more in the last year than it maybe has since the 80s. You have a whole generation of people you think would have grown up with the existing law. Yes, exactly. It all goes back to the same source, which is you're so far left, you actually become the fascist that you are proclaiming against. You become the one who is preaching against people's religious beliefs. How many hospitals have you been into that even have multi-faith prayer spaces, chapels? Most of them. You know why? Because we know why people are in hospitals, a place that no one wants to be.
Right.
And can cling to a few things. It's why when you walk around a lot of hospitals, what do you see on TV? Televangelists a lot of times. Why? Because they need hope. Somehow they need hope. And guess who needs that hope just as much? The staff, the nurses, the doctors. I've seen it firsthand as someone who has been there, who's been in the NICU and seeing these nurses who are clinging to the televangelists that are on television because they're dealing with the worst of the worst situations. And it's happening still in this country, and that's why the ACLJ is here. And we actually have a call related to that. Let's go to D in California, watching on YouTube. D, you're on the air.
Yes, this regarding banning Bibles and all, I can relate to. I was just a young child when Madeleine Murray O'Hara, who was an atheist, was pushing to have prayer and Bible reading removed from the schools. Unfortunately, of course, my father, as a minister, encouraged people, please, we need to put a stop to her doing this. People, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. Well, lo and behold, what was it, 63, 64, she succeeded and replaced with law enforcement. Now, that being said, they're pushing again on this with Bibles and like this little girl, 8-year-old girl and that. So I'm just reaching out to say, Christians, we need to act, and we need to act now, and we need to pray about this. Yeah, it will happen if we don't.
I think that you're exactly right, Dee, because the one thing is we don't have to rely on the government to give us the time to read the Bible or pray. Like in all these situations, at schools, at your workplace, you're always going to have break times, right? And in these break times on these schools, and whether it's a public school, private business, the law is clear. You can have your Bible. You can have a time of prayer. And you can ask others if they want to join. Now, you can't, force people to join, but you can ask others if they want to join.
Anyway.
Yeah, you want that. And any other religious person can do that as well. You don't think they would accommodate a Muslim during Ramadan? I guarantee you the hospital does.
As they should.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I just think that they pick and choose which religions to accommodate, and Christians for so long we've still we're kind of
the ones that will
I
not
feel
go
like we're
violent.
back at the bottom of the barrel again.
Yeah, it's because we're the ones that won't turn violent against people, and that's, by the way, and that's a good thing. I'm just going to clear that up. That's a good thing. However, they know it's a much riskier political, social move to go after other faiths.
Right.
Regardless of the other faiths, they know the Christians are the easy targets because Christians, by the scriptures themselves, are not people who are going to necessarily respond in a way that is going to cause violence or harm to them as people. However, we can't take them to court. We can't protect your rights in it. Yeah. We have to do that